It's Sunday and you're on self-improvement and you're reading book after book. Whilst most people your age are wasting time scrolling on TikTok, you want to learn and develop yourself as much as you can and set your future self up. It's getting late though, and tomorrow you have school, so you finish the page and put the book down as you start getting ready for bed. Hopefully, you'll remember what you just read. The next day, you come back from school and you want to continue with your book, but you've got a shit ton of homework. You guess you have to do that instead. School gets you caught up and the week passes by. Now it's Saturday and you finally have some free time to do some base things. But you found the problem. A deadly problem. You don't remember shit you read. You realize you have completely forgotten the main insights that you got from the book last time, and realize you'll have to read it again to get the insights. Hello, I'm Aaron, base radio student, always leveling up life, and I've read a bunch of books. I've read over 52 books in the last year, and you probably heard this phrase of like knowledge is power, but I've found that knowledge is only power when you apply it. And so I wanted to remember what I read from all these books so that I could apply it in my life. Back then, I wasn't doing the right thing. I was trying to remember what I did by doing the wrong thing. I underlined like the main notes that I had in my mind. I underlined them in the book, and I kept forgetting like the main insights which I got from a book, which meant that I had to keep flicking through the book again to, remember what I got and what I took notes on. That resulted in me not getting much value from the books because I wasn't remembering shit I read. So after like learning and experimenting with a bunch of different things, I landed on this thing which I compressed into like this 3-part framework, and slowly as I implemented it, reading books actually became valuable because I remembered what I read, and I became a person that could take action on the things that I read so I could use it to improve and level up the different realms of life. So there are essentially 3 parts to remembering basically everything that you read in an effective way. As always, there are timestamps in the description so you can skip around if you'd like. The first tip is to choose the right books. When people are recommending books to you, it should kind of like catch your eye, and you should have like this intuition and inclination to read the book, and that is usually a great way to make sure that the book is right for you in your given circumstances and time. It should seem applicable to you in your present life right now, so you can actually take the lessons that you learn from it and improve, and actually like feel like you have a why, a reason for reading the book. That will make you actually want to get the insights from the book because you have a why for doing it. And it also shouldn't feel like a chore. Like, it should be fun to read the book, and if you do find it like kind of like a task, like a dull task that you have to do, then you probably haven't found like the right books that you actually enjoy for you. I already made a whole video where I talk more about this, so you can watch that later if you want. The second part is to effectively take notes. So I use an app called Notion. You can use Notion, and I think another one is Obsidian, which is like Notion's competitor. But Notion is genuinely, I feel, much better than Obsidian. Basically have like a Notion setup where you have all your books in order, and it says like when you started reading them, when you completed them, your rating, your review, and also where you can open up each of the books and write your own personal notes in it. That is what I do every time that I read a book in order to remember what I read. And if you want my personal Notion template that I use for that, then you can check them out. Link down below, completely free. But the templates don't really matter. It's just that if you don't want to put the time in yourself to make your own template and system for that, you can just take that. You just want to have some place where you can take notes for each different book. Now, when I'm reading a book and I want to remember the main insights that I get, instead of underlining and highlighting throughout reading, I sit with my laptop in front like this and my book on here on the desk, and every time I get like an insight, I hand type it onto the laptop. When you hand type it, it lets you like process every single word, and it's much better than just copy pasting it, because when you copy paste, you usually paste in a lot of stuff, and that makes it really hard for you to go through and review later. And so it's much more favorable if you hand type it, because that will naturally lead to not being concise with it and not fucking yapping for too long. And so this leads us to the question whether you want to read physical or ebooks. When you have an ebook, you can directly Control-V the insights from the PDF onto your Notion page or whatever. But if you're like me, I like the feeling of the books and the pages flipping through, and it's just a more immersive experience, and I feel like that I'm actually reading a book when I have a physical paperback. And finally, when you're writing these notes, you want to be connecting it to like the knowledge rep that you already have in your mind. So throughout your life, you learned a bunch of different things, and the way we remember things is that we get some new knowledge and we connect it to the previous stuff that we already know. And that's why teaching using analogies are really powerful, because it teaches us a new concept and connects it to something that we're already familiar with and already relate to. And so you can think of your mind and its knowledge of kind of like this knowledge web, and every time you get like a new piece of information, it's like a little dot in nowhere, you know, it's not connected to anything. And your job is to link it and connect it to as many different things as you can, and go through those pathways as much as you can, if that makes sense. Like, you can visualize yourself and your brain doing it in real time as you're learning and reading. The third part is to organize your notes and take action on it. So when you have taken notes for a book, you want to be getting like the action steps from each book. Because if you're just getting knowledge, okay, yeah, sure, that's fine. But you also want to be getting action steps so you can implement it and get like first-hand experience of the stuff that you learn. So when you're reading and learning, you want to be thinking about how you can apply this knowledge to your present life, like not right now. Like, what can I do that will improve and level up my life with this knowledge that I just learned? And also you can think about like the near future life. And with all these action tips that you get, I like to have what's called an action log, where it's just like a Notion page, and I write down all the different things which I'm gonna take action on. It's kind of like in a video game where you have like a quest log, and you have different quests that you get and you just go through them. And so my action log is my whiteboard right here. I use this sometimes, most of the time, and I've already made a whole video on it. Or otherwise I use Notion and a page on Notion, which is also included in the free templates. This is what I personally use. Yours doesn't have to be the same, but this is what has generally worked the best for me. And finally, by taking action on the stuff that you read and getting experience, you actually remember what you read very well, because it gives you like first-hand experience, like you're experiencing the thing that you just read. I got this from the book Unscripted by MJ DeMarco, based book by the way, and it's where there's this process of acting, then assessing, and then adjusting. So every time you learn something new, you want to be acting on the action tips that you get from your action log or whatever, and then you assess like what kind of difference that made to your life, like how well it worked. And it's kind of like experimenting. It's kind of like a lab where you act on all these different things, and then you assess what worked, what didn't work, why it did so and why it didn't, and then you adjust. So you adjust the action to suit and fit your like style and your vibe much more, so that it feels much more natural and humane to you. So this process of acting, then assessing, then adjusting accordingly works much better than just thinking about the insights that you get from a book, and it helps you remember the stuff that you read much more. Reading books, especially the right books, are a great way of getting knowledge and developing yourself. But if you're the type of guy that hates reading, then you can click here where I talk more about how you can actually read if you genuinely hate reading, and that I think will be really helpful for you. And as always, your potential is only limited by your intention. See you later, bro. Bro, these fucking clouds keep going over the sun, and it's making it darker and lighter, like you can't fucking choose one, bro.